Hi, and welcome to Comedy Recapped. Today we're talking about the 1996 American crime comedy film titled Bottle Rocket, directed by Wes Anderson and co-written by Owen Wilson. This hilarious film is about a man who, upon his release from a mental hospital, is roped into harebrained heists by his less stable friend, Dignan, forcing them on the run. Beware. Spoilers ahead. Anthony is packing his things up to escape a voluntary psychiatric unit, where he's been staying for a period of self-described exhaustion. His doctor comes to see him off and notices the sheets tied together running out the window, and he has to explain that this is an elaborate ruse because his friend Dignan, seen across the courtyard, doesn't know that the stay was voluntary. He climbs out the window quickly. As the doctor explains, it doesn't look good, and runs across the courtyard to meet his friend. Dignan watches as he runs across the lawns, saying goodbye to a few other patients, and meets him in the bushes, none the wiser to Anthony's deception. The two take some time to look over Dignan's plans in a diner nearby. As outlined by his 75-year plan, the two of them have several heists to pull before meeting up with Mr. Henry, a landscaper, and part-time criminal that Dignan used to work with. For practice, the two of them break into Anthony's mother's home, stealing specific items from a previously agreed-upon list. While providing feedback on the heist, Dignan is playing pinball and mistakenly reveals that he also stole a pair of earrings that hadn't been specified on the list. This upsets Anthony because the earrings were a pair he'd bought for his mother and had explicitly left off the list. They visit Anthony's little sister at her school, and she seems unhappy to see him. When they get some time alone, she's concerned about what he's doing and why he's with Dignan. She explains she likes her brother's friend, but he's a liar. She agrees to bring the earrings home, though she seems generally displeased with his pattern of behavior. Anthony becomes upset that his sister is cynical, but continues with Dignan despite her behavior. Dignan recruits another friend, Bob Mapplethorpe, but seems unsure whether he wants him as a getaway driver. Bob asks to be part and explains that his drive and ability to take risks are good reasons to take him on, explaining he has a massive crop of marijuana he's growing behind his house and that he's got a car and wants to be a part of it. This is enough to convince Dignan. Back at Bob Mapplethorpe's house, we meet Bob's bullish brother, Hector, and a girl from Anthony's past. While Hector is beating his other friend over the pool, having a leaf in it, Anthony explains that he's just left a mental hospital, had a nervous breakdown, and checked himself in when he realized he couldn't handle life. The girl seems enthralled by his story, asking him if he's a complex guy rather than put off. The three of them buy a weapon and return to Bob's house to plan the next heist at a local bookstore. While they try to plan, the three of them bicker, which causes Dignan to become irate. Bob keeps grabbing the weapon, which upsets Dignan, but Bob insists he paid for it, and it all leads to Dignan struggling to regain control of the group. They nearly stop planning altogether, but Anthony reels Dignan back in, and they continue planning. The group can set aside their squabbles long enough to make it through to the heist. They put tape over their noses to help disguise themselves, though it doesn't do much. They corner a shopkeeper and force their way inside, holding the small crew at gunpoint and stealing the cash from their register. They make it out, successfully retrieving the money and getting away as planned, and decide to go on the lam the following day. While sitting around in Bob's house, the men look at Dignan's group photo with Mr. Henry. Bob explains they're just landscapers and calls to question whether Dignan is lying about the whole situation, as Anthony's sister had tried to warn. Dignan later pulls Anthony aside and explains that they had been landscapers, but that had been a front for the criminal activity. He said he did the landscaping work, but he was suddenly fired one day. He wants to get back in with that group because it was the first job he'd ever done where he'd been truly happy, and he misses that feeling. He then asks Anthony to not tell Bob about having been fired. On the road, the men buy fireworks to pass the time, and Dignan seems almost giddy at their success. Anthony begins to grow frustrated at this behavior because he has started to feel rather listless and depressed about the whole thing. They stop to stay at a motel in the middle of the desert, where the three of them wait and plan their next move. While swimming in the pool, Anthony sees a pretty model maid and strikes up a conversation with her, though to very little avail due to a language barrier. Still, he follows her around the motel and helps her clean rooms, very intent on continuing what little conversation they can hold. INEZ, the maid, speaks very little English, and Anthony barely knows any Spanish. As their time at the motel continues, Bob learns his hemp crop back home has been discovered by the police. This has led to his bullish brother being arrested, which causes Bob a great deal of stress, Dignan doesn't seem concerned about it, so he tries to recruit Anthony to his side. He's throwing INEZ and the cleaning crew a party when the men walk in. Anthony is wrapped up in his budding romance with INEZ and doesn't want to leave the motel. The following day, Bob leaves with his car to help his brother without telling Dignan, and strands the two men there. Anthony tries to convince INEZ to come with them with the aid of one of the kitchen staff, INEZ's friend, as an interpreter. Going back and forth, INEZ explains she won't come because Anthony has no plan, and he's just passing through. This hurts Anthony, who leaves. Before they go, Anthony gives Dignan an envelope to give INEZ, and Dignan delivers it when she's busy cleaning a room without checking the envelope. INEZ doesn't immediately open it either, and gives Dignan a hug to say goodbye. Just as he's leaving, INEZ asks her English-speaking friend to chase after Dignan and tell him that she loves Anthony. However, when he delivers the message, he says, "Tell Anthony I love him." Dignan fails to realize the man is speaking for INEZ, which doesn't provide the message. Anthony refuses to try and use INEZ's master key to steal someone's car, so Dignan discovers a dilapidated but functional Alfa Romeo Spider. The two men continue with their 75-year plan. However, the car breaks down eventually. The two men are stranded and dejected once again, but Anthony says they should give up and go home. He reveals that the envelope he asked Dignan to give INEZ had most of the money they had left from their heist, which causes the two to blow up at each other. Dignan punches Anthony in the nose, breaking it before they go their separate ways. In a letter narrated to his sister, Anthony explains that he and Bob went on to settle into a routine that keeps him busy. They've picked up a few jobs and begun paying back Bob's brother's debts. After some time passes, Dignan tracks Anthony down, and they reconcile. Dignan invites Anthony on another heist with Mr. Henry, and Anthony conditionally accepts, as long as Bob is invited to join once again. The three of them meet up with the eccentric Mr. Henry and plan on robbing a safe at a cold storage facility. Mr. Henry quickly becomes a role model for the men, as he stands up to Bob's abusive brother and helps Dignan by tutoring him on success. He invites them to a party at his house, then visits them at Bob's house, which he compliments. Anthony learns of INEZ's love for him and immediately tries to contact her via phone. She's hard to get a hold of, and he rings the motel repeatedly before he gets the right line. Her English has improved significantly since they split, and the two profess their love to one another and rekindle their romance. The group plans and conducts their heist at the cold storage facility with Mr. Henry's accomplices from the landscaping company, Applejack and Kumar. The plan quickly falls apart when Kumar is unable to crack the safe, and the employees that were supposed to be on their lunch break end up coming back too early. Bob accidentally fires his weapon, triggering a cardiac episode in Applejack. The group scatters, having accidentally set off the fire alarms with a smoke bomb, trying to escape. However, as they get to their car, they realize Applejack has been left in the building, leading Anthony and Dignan to go back and forth as to who will go back and save him. In a sudden act of selflessness, Dignan decides he's going to go back. He manages to retrieve Applejack from the building, but as they struggle to escape, the police arrive, arrest him, and brutalize him, as they work to get the mistakenly locked car to run. At the same time the crew is pulling off the failed heist, Mr. Henry is loading furniture from Bob's house into a truck. When Anthony and Bob visit Dignan in prison later, they tell him that Mr. Henry robbed Bob's house, but the whole experience brought Bob and his bullish brother closer together. Bob and Anthony try to say their goodbyes at the end of their visit, and Dignan starts rattling off his escape plan, quickly trying to make his friends get into position for a fast getaway, and for one of them to be his body shield. There's a tense moment between them before they realize Dignan is joking. Dignan turns to Anthony and says, "Isn't it funny you used to be in the nut house, and now I'm in jail?" He goes back into the prison with a wave of goodbye. And that's going to wrap things up for today. Hopefully you've enjoyed this recap as much as we did. If you liked the video and want to look into other movies with us, then be sure to click the like button and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on. That way, you won't miss a single video.